Wow.
Okay, it's 7:01, so I think we'll get
If
going.
you want to take it or not.
I'd like to call the Bristol Selectboard meeting to order on Monday, November 14th, 2022. Agenda item 1, review agenda for addition, removal, or adjustment of any items.
Not that I know of.
All right. Will you be the person to know? So, all right. Item 2, overview of Zoom meeting operation procedures. Folks, you know this by now. Please mute your microphones if you're on Zoom and be recognized by myself, the chair, if you wish to speak. Number 2, public forum. It's 5 minutes for anyone to speak about an item not on this evening's agenda. Alrighty, I'd like to thank Bristol voters for coming out in very decent numbers for last week's election day. I thought that was terrific.
More than 58%.
That's good. We haven't had that in quite a while.
Right.
So that's terrific. I thank everyone for coming out and
Really is.
doing your duty. All right, let's move on. Department head roundtable. Let's start with Sharon tonight, town clerk's office.
Hi there. Yes, the election is over, but the work is not done. So I have to put in all my voters. I have representative district canvassing to do tomorrow because we're the biggest town. So I have to collect all the other 4 towns and upload that into the VEMS program for elections. So now hopefully tomorrow is tax day, so we'll probably have a lot of traffic. We had quite a bit today. And so tomorrow will probably be a zoo in here with people, and then hopefully we can start doing some catch up.
How did the election day go? Any snafus or smoothly as usual?
Oh yeah, the tabulator broke. 2 hours in, it broke. So I had to call and have them bring another one.
Just from sheer numbers of voters?
No, this is the 4th tabulator I've had. I want my old one back. That one never broke, but this
Can you request that?
Yeah, a lot of people would like to, because this tabulator is a lot slower than the old one, because now it has the screen, it tells you what's wrong, so it takes longer for them to go through, which the school found out on Wednesday. It's a good thing they did it on Wednesday, even though we thought it was crazy. It took her for the towns in our district here to do the ballots to the tabulator. It took her from 9 until 2:30 to do it. And that was about 6,000 ballots. So, and it was a lot slower upstairs too, because we had so many people coming through that, you know, we had people wrapped around the front. There was people wrapped around the ballots. There was people wrapped trying to get to the ballot box, and it's much slower. So, and now they're talking about 2024 and maybe doing something different for that, for the presidential. So
great. A collection of squirrels will count the ballots.
Yeah. That's
okay.
all I have for now.
All right. Thank you, Sharon. Any questions for Sharon this evening? All right. Let's move on to Anthony, town treasurer.
Hi, everyone. Biggest thing going on right now is taxes are due tomorrow. So we're in preparation of that. We've had a lot of incoming payments, so that's a good thing. My one thing I can say about that is towards anyone that thinks they're going to become delinquent, pay what you can now, because it'll just, anything helps, and then you can reach out to me and we'll figure something out. Been working with Peter again, trying to finish off the projects we've been working on, so he can ride off into the sunset on a good note. So that's what we've been focusing on.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any questions?
You're also up to your eyeballs in the audit for FY22.
Oh yes, I almost forgot. How could I forget that? It's because I can't see because of how. No, but it's going well. I'm finalizing the fixed asset list. I should have that all set by the end of the week, and then there's only a couple more things the auditor has asked for. So we're in fairly good shape.
Excellent. Any questions for Anthony this evening? All right. Awesome. Thank you very much. Let's move on to Meredith, Recreation Department.
I could do without the snow, Meredith.
It's coming this week.
Greatest up on Wednesday.
She's ready, I bet.
Yep. So a couple of things. We were able to get into the Mount Abraham pool for Monday and Tuesday of next week. So we're going to do some open swim, 3 sessions in the morning for that. So that'll be exciting. So that's anybody can join. It is $5 per swimmer per hour. And we're asking for reservations because we're limiting to, for each hour, it's only up to 25 swimmers in the pool. And that way, it's safer that way. We only have 1 lifeguard, and then Freddie will be on deck to help out and take in the funds. And then we've got a big December. I'm just going to quickly kind of go through the events. December 2nd is the memory tree lighting. December 9th is the candy cane and SD Ireland truck. December 16th is Santa story time at Holly Hall. December 17th, we're working with the Bristol Band Trio, and they might be doing a really open house kind of music. They haven't gotten together. That's Ken Weston and his daughter, I forgot, Alice, and then somebody else is in that band. And then December 18th is the trolley rides out in front of the Holly Hall. And at that time, there's going to be the gingerbread making inside the Holly Hall. So December's pretty busy, which it should be. That's one of our big months. And then we are planning for future events, a sock hop at Holly Hall, bingo at Holly Hall. We're working with the state and figuring out the logistics of that. And also have asked the Legion for some advice because they have in the past run bingo. An Elvis Presley impersonator, Rusted Dewey's in February. And currently working to bring back the Bristol Players and have theater back in Holly Hall with rehearsals and production at the end. So yeah, pretty busy. Sent out all my appropriation letters to the towns and just prepping for budget season.
Awesome. I saw that there was a toddler group that's someone's starting or restarting.
Yeah, so that's with the Lawrence Memorial Library, and they'll be coming in tomorrow, actually, from 10 to 12 for story time.
Awesome. Great. For your December 17th, the band, do you know what time that is? Because we have our Lumen, or Core has Lumen rather, at 5:30. I don't know what time you were thinking for the band potentially.
Gosh, that would be good for Core to reserve the Holly Hall.
Okay.
So,
right.
I mean, is it okay to
we
have, I guess it wouldn't, it wouldn't.
No, I think they could complement each other. It would just be the timing. So for the Lumen, it's obviously the park, and previously Core had done, used Holly Hall as a space for the lantern making. Last year, it was pre-made kits that people could pick up. I'm not sure what Core is going to be doing this year. Alicia Standridge is now the new executive director of Bristol Core. She co-owns Your Home on Main Street. So I can talk to her. I'll be talking to her this week. So we can find out if we do want to do the lantern making in the hall, or if there's music in there, maybe that complements music, and then people can go over for the fire performance. We can work that out.
Yeah, there's a meeting 8:30 on Friday, so
yeah,
we'll get the answers that day for sure.
Okay. All right, great. So let's figure that out then. All right, awesome. Anything else, Meredith?
No, that's it.
Okay. Any questions for Meredith from any of the board members? All right, super. Let's do Bruce, Police Department.
Good evening. So Halloween was a very busy night. I wore my police officer costume and not many people noticed me or recognized me. But it was good to see all the people out. People were very careful and cautious, and that was very good for us. Starting November 1st, the winter parking ban is in effect. So there's no on-street overnight parking except Main Street. And when the lights are flashing, they have to find another location for the night. And that's about all I have.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. Any questions for Bruce?
You get your new vehicle?
Yes, we have the Dodge Charger. We're waiting for lettering and a couple more lights to come in.
Awesome.
Excellent, good to hear. All right, thanks very much, Bruce. Let's move to Brett, Fire Department.
Good evening. Just a couple quick updates for the board. Our year continues to be a busy one in regards to our calls for service. We're currently at 133 calls for service so far this calendar year. So that's a very busy year, on pace to perhaps beat our most calls in a calendar year that we chalked up the year prior to the pandemic. So we'll see. At the November staff meeting, we held our annual nominations for certain positions. There were no new candidates for any of the positions for the calendar for the 23 calendar year. So we will not be having any elections next month. I spoke to Deputy Chief Foran earlier this morning about the new pumper. He did have a conversation with our sales representative. He's trying to get us a more definitive update. He shared some information with me. I'm just not ready to say it publicly because we're both very optimistic about when this vehicle will actually be delivered. You know, they're experiencing the same challenge with you know, supply and demand of parts and stuff. But I did ask Eric to provide me a more formal update that I could share with you all at the next select board meeting. So hopefully that will be satisfactory to you folks. Anybody have any questions? I can try to answer them on the new pumper otherwise.
I think that it sounds like potentially positive news.
Potentially. Well, positive news would have been last March.
Right, in this new world, the new world
Yeah.
of positive news.
But we're continuing to you know, fulfill our obligations as a fire department here in town. So everybody's doing a great job over there.
Right. How are your construction neighbors? Any issues with that in terms of the work that's being done? It's right next to you.
No, you know, I'm over there several times a day, and they're obviously very busy. They've had some great weather to work with this fall.
Yeah.
But obviously things are cooling down quickly. But no, no issues for me personally. If you folks hear anything, let me know. But speaking of just the site over there, I mentioned it to Valerie and Ian the other day. The Cushman Design Group did reach out to me last week about meeting at the fire station just to kind of go over the space and just kind of, well, the gentleman I met with, Milford Cushman, was there, but two of his employees were there and they had lots of questions. Neither one of them were around at the time of the construction of the fire station. So it was a good meeting. We met for about an hour and a half, just toured everything. I answered all their questions, and so I just told them not to hesitate if they had other questions as they move forward in this process. Last month, just kind of a quick recap. It was a very busy month in the fire service. Many regular traditional annual events happen in October. We had, of course, it's Halloween, as Bruce noted. We did set up a pumper with a crew down on the park for kind of the trunk or treat area. So that was well received. We had our annual coin drive, which was very successful. We had our food drive, which was also very successful. Please don't ask me for the pounds of food because I can't recall that off the top of my head, but Mark Bouvier, who heads this up, did say it was a very successful event. And we did receive not only a great deal of food and contributions from our four neighboring towns who participated in the event as well, but significant cash donations, which are very helpful to the food shelf because they can use that cash to buy the items that they're short on. And then in addition, it was National Fire Prevention Week. We recognized it here in Bristol, I think it was 2 weeks after the actual week, only because of schedules. Eric, our deputy chief who heads up our fire education program, he was out of state the week of National Fire Prevention Week, but working with the school, we were up there 4 days, and we had 40 person hours of work that week. We did tours of the fire station for some preschools, and Eric and several members of the fire department who volunteered to help out, conducted, age appropriate fire prevention activities at the elementary school throughout the week. And in addition, we had one of the public education trailers from the Vermont Division of Fire Safety on hand as a prop. It's a simulator. So very successful week. But other than that, the fire department, we're hosting for the 5 town fire departments and some Bristol town employees. This Wednesday is a flu and COVID booster clinic. So gonna have a pretty good turnout at that. But pending any questions, that's all I've got for you folks.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Any questions for Brett? All right. I read that New Haven, well, it was an Addison Independent article about New Haven. They're looking at a new location or a new building. I don't know if you'll be involved in that or if they'll reach out as neighbors just because of our fairly new building.
Well, I'll certainly, if they reach out, I'll certainly help them and provide anything I can.
Great.
They
Right.
actually had a design before we built our building because that DC power was coming through the Merit Corporation or whatever it was gonna build them a station, and then it never ended up happening.
Interesting.
Have a design. I don't know whether they'll change it or whether they'll go with it.
Interesting. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Brett. Finally, Eric. I think he's hiding in the background there. Public Works Department.
Unfortunately. Yeah, just routine stuff. We finished up the Notch grant last week, so I've got the paperwork. That just about done. A couple of things I need to get together, but other than that, that's almost ready to go.
That ditch looks good here. I saw it there Friday. It looks good.
Thank you.
You ready for snow Wednesday?
Now, you guys are on your own.
3 to 7 inches, come on. I'll be the one having 7 inches.
Seriously?
Yeah. Our area
Yeah, I'm
according
not doing
to AOT right now is 3 to 6 for our area.
Mhm.
But anyways, yeah, so I'm gonna have the 2 new guys that haven't plowed, they're going out tomorrow with the plows on and just drive around their routes to get used to the plow swing and traffic and
Hopefully don't take out anybody.
in daylight, so they don't have to do it in the dark, so they can see everything around
Right.
that's potential obstructions and stuff, and it's a game changer when you throw that plow on the front.
Oh, yeah.
So that's probably what we're gonna be doing tomorrow, get them used to that. And just routine shaping up before winter.
All right. Well, I'm grateful for the crew. I can't remember which town it was, but there was a VT Digger article about one town where the entire public works department resigned, and then the select board was going to follow. Sweet. I thought that was an unbelievable article, and I'd be very, very worried if anything like that happened in our town. So I'm grateful for Eric and the road crew, as well as our other select board members. So thank you. All right, thank you, Eric. All right, let's move on. Item 4, regular business. Number 1, grant authorization request, the Public Works Department to Vermont Diesel Emissions Reduction Financial Assistance Program through DEC for funds to replace the loader and/or the Kubota tractor.
I realized that where it says application amount and we wrote no match is required, it should have said to be determined. We don't know what the actual grant application amount has the potential to be. We would if we do go forward with the application, it's something we would find out as we go through it and what meets what criteria and what dollar values are assigned to those criteria.
I'm guessing that Kubota won't fall in under that because that already has emissions on it, and this program is to replace diesel engines that have no emissions. And the Kubota's already a tier 3 or tier 4? Tier 4, so it's the latest and greatest.
Huh. Well, Eric talked with me about calling the person that's administrating the program and explain what the problems we're having with that Kubota engine. It's not functioning properly. And so we need to get a new machine because it's not functioning properly.
Yeah, well, if it's not running, it's not making any emissions, so they're probably happy.
Well,
I mean, it's worth a shot.
Yeah. I did, Sunday, I swung through the equipment dealer's yard and looked at one of those Unimogs that Eric was talking about, and the two that are down there are too big for our sidewalks, but if they make a smaller one, I think it would be a sweet machine for the
Is that a Kubota?
it's a Bobcat.
Okay.
Eric's got some literature on it.
But it has, it takes a variety of different implements on the front, has a little dump thing on the back, and the one they had down there had a sander similar to the one we got for the new pickup, which would do a nice job on the sidewalk, so.
do you know if it has a sweeper function?
Yes, it does.
Ooh,
It takes, what'd you say, like 27 different implements, right?
Yeah, something like that. The
wow,
only
we
thing
might
I
need to
don't
hire
know-
another guy just to run it.
The only thing I don't know for the broom, if it has a pickup broom or if it's just a broom.
I think it's just a push broom,
Okay.
a rotary broom like what we have on the tractor.
Just out of curiosity, what does one of those go for?
I
Just
don't know.
roundabout.
Roundabout, if I had to guess, 70. If I had to guess.
Okay, and how much is the loader gonna be?
Loader is gonna push probably 2 1/4.
150, oh, 2 1/4?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out, I know they're on the plan, so it's like, okay, do we have the money?
No.
Well, so let's talk about
No
this,
is the answer.
the
Well, you
availability
might
of
be able to
funding.
put the Kubota, but.
So with this, the grant application, can you explain a little bit more about this, Val?
I have not
Okay.
very much. The application is due November 29th. I don't know when the funds need to be spent. I don't know if the funds all need to be spent within this fiscal year or whether you've got a calendar year to do it, which means that potentially if the purchase extended beyond July, we would have next year's appropriation to be able to apply toward it. And depending on how much a grant, even if we qualified for it, would cover to reduce the cost.
Okay.
And Eric, I asked Eric the question, and he said the loader's due up anyway next year. after
Right.
July 1.
Yeah.
Right.
So for the next winters, not this coming winter, but the following winter, we'll have a new one.
Right.
So
And
Well, they're
we've
both on-
talked,
They're
we've
both on the
talked,
schedule for
Right.
replacement.
yeah, because we talked last year about the plow and trying to get maybe improvements to the unit that we have, but then because of the problems we've had, it seemed like getting rid of that and getting something new, maybe what Peter suggested previously, is the way to go. And I know that, yeah, both of them are up, but I don't know.
No, I don't think they were both up. I think we pushed the Kubota up because of the issues we were having.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Kubota's not more than 10 years old, is it? No.
I wonder what
Oh,
kind
that's
of
true.
resale
It is-
value it has.
Yeah.
The
right.
Kubotas typically resell fairly well.
Yeah.
I mean, they're usually a good tractor.
Right.
The
We
unit-
just had
the-
issues. I don't know, Anthony,
unit-
what do we have in our current balances in terms of the capital funds for that?
83.5 right now. for
Right.
the capital
Yeah.
equipment
Is,
reserve
is that
fund.
accurate?
Yes, I met with Valerie and Eric earlier. Was it was it Monday or was it last week?
Last week sometime.
Last week, it was busy last week.
Yeah.
Kind of all blended together. Yeah, so
Yeah, I know.
those are accurate numbers.
Okay.
What do we put in that fund, 100?
135.
So we're still not gonna have enough to buy a loader if it's 2 and a
No.
quarter.
So this agenda item is to vote to authorize the application. It doesn't commit us to purchase anything.
Well, I certainly think we should apply.
Yeah.
I move we
Yeah.
apply.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just on the Kubota side of that is, Middlebury has one of those things that Peaker's talking about, and I asked them last year when they were wasn't by I stopped them when they're plowing the sidewalk, and he says they have another tractor that does it. He said, if you got some narrow sidewalks, this isn't, as Peaker said, it will do most of them, probably 90%. Maybe Eric, you could kind of do something in your head in the next month or two and say, where would the sidewalks, how many feet of sidewalks we have, or sections of sidewalks where one of these wouldn't fit through, and maybe we could just contract that out, or
Fit through in what way? Like
it's too
too
wide.
wide?
Too wide.
Like the plow piece or the
Yeah.
whole unit?
I think
The unit that's down there, if they don't make something narrower, is
It's
too
not
wide. Yeah.
That's an excellent segue to the next agenda item.
Right. So
Okay, so
We
so
gotta vote on
we'll-
this one.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
yeah,
right,
we
right.
can look into that, because I do, yeah, I think, or maybe it's something where that we keep the Kubota for a little while to do narrower, perhaps. Have that, keep that around, and then as sidewalks are replaced, depending on, well, that time frame is probably much longer. So, okay, all right. So, any further discussion on the first agenda item? All right, all those in favor say aye. Raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All those against, nay. Motion carries. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, and so yeah, item 2, discuss whether Kubota replacement should be 5 feet or 4 feet wide. So, Peter, do you know the one that you looked at? Is it 5 feet wide, or is it like 6 feet wide?
The piece of equipment itself is 58 inches wide, and then the bucket that was on it, it didn't have a plow. The bucket was 5'6", because it has to be wide enough to cover, your blade has to be wide enough to cover your wheels, otherwise the snow falls back in and you pack it.
Okay.
The plow we're carrying now is a 5-foot plow.
Right.
So 5 foot will fit everywhere. I just think that our tractor is a little narrower.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue was. And when I talked to Eric, I told him when he got a chance to ask him if they made one a little smaller, but I don't know if you
I haven't had a chance yet.
Well, it was, in his defense, it was late yesterday afternoon that I talked to him, so.
Go on, Eric.
Okay, I was just gonna say, the plow that we have now, the blades on it clear 4 feet, but the wings push it out an extra foot. So if we went with a 5 foot, 60-inch plow, the bottom of it's gonna clear 5 foot, so you're gonna rip up 6 inches or whatever off each side of the sidewalk through people's lawns that not have a 5 foot sidewalk on them yet.
Well, that'll keep the weeds back off of the sidewalk.
Well, that'll also help.
Help drainage.
It'll help drainage, yeah, I was just gonna say, that's an issue we have right now, is that the grass comes up over the edge of the sidewalk, and that's what holds the water on the sidewalk, so.
But that's why I wanted that item on the agenda, is to see which way you guys would want me to go.
So here's the
Before I
question.
wasted time, doing something that you guys didn't really care to do.
Okay, question. So the sidewalks that we're replacing them with 5 foot sidewalks.
Correct.
That will be okay with what we have, if we got a true 5 foot plow,
Right.
60-inch plow.
Yeah,
It's just the 4 foot sidewalks that we're talking about.
right.
And eventually they'll all get replaced to be 5 foot or most.
Right, eventually, yes.
So,
And Eric, you could, what you've done to the old plow, not cut the wings off a brand new plow, by God, but you could, because it's got a cutting edge on it, you could cut 4, you can't cut
Not
that.
unless we cut the moldboard.
That, it's not like your standard cutting edge and it sticks down.
Well, it's like a regular Fisher plow, so you got your moldboard, your blade bolts to it. So if you wanna cut your blade 6 inches on each side, you
Not
also
the,
gotta
not
cut
the
your
curve or the
moldboard.
moldboard, just the.
Right, just the moldboard, you'd have to cut 6 inches off each end and leave your wings the way they are.
When you say moldboard, you mean your cutting edge?
What your cutting edge bolts to.
Oh, no, no, no.
I don't know, I think if we could find something that was 4 foot, then,
You put a 5-foot blade on it? you're saying?
well,
Or
I
5.5.
think that you could get an angle plow that you could angle so that it was only 4 foot when it was angled.
Right, okay.
And then that would solve the problem, but I don't know, it's all speculation till we find out whether we can get something that's only 4 foot wide, we won't know.
Eric, I did.
I mean, there's
Sorry.
I was going to say there's probably the percentage of 4 foot sidewalks is probably higher than our 5 foot sidewalks, right?
Right
probably
now,
more.
probably.
Yeah. So I think Peter's right. I think getting something, if we had something that's 4 that can do the sidewalks now, but have the option for that blade to be able to clear it the width of the newer sidewalks, that gets us the best of both worlds. If we go the opposite way where we have a 5, we know over 50% of our sidewalks, you're going to be cutting the grass each side. I mean, sometimes that happens regardless now because you can't see the sidewalk, but I feel like it's going to be less damage with something that's 4 feet wide.
And I don't, if snow became an issue and an angle plow wouldn't do it, the way that machine's set up, I believe they probably could mount our angle plow to, our V plow to it. Fairly easy.
Oh, even if we got a V plow for the new bigger. Cause you can get an all angle V plow for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
it's
I guess
not
maybe
just
a way forward would be to see what our options are. Can we even get a 4 foot machine? That would be the first question, right?
Yeah, to get a smaller width machine, see what I can come up with.
Okay.
Peter, do you think wherever place this is, and I won't mention the name because we're probably putting out the bid, but even Middlebury said, if they wanted to take a demo for just a day and drive it on their sidewalks and see, then we could pinpoint, okay, it won't fit. I'm gonna say up by Chris Rockwood, or somewhere like that.
Yeah, but if you get one that has fairly same width as the one that we got now, I think the tire, outside the tire in ours, I think is 52 or 54 inches outside the tire. So if we get one within that range, it should fit everywhere as that ours goes now.
I could stop tomorrow, or you can, if down to wherever you looked at that and measure the width.
I did measure the width.
Yeah.
It's 58 inches.
58, and you were looking at possibly a small, if they made a small.
If they made a smaller one,
Because
because the 58 is definitely too big.
I went to Heinsberg today and they had theirs out, cleaning it up and getting it ready, and they've got one of those Bobcats with a sander on the back.
Yeah. I'll
Val, you had a
call around
question?
and see.
I do. If a 4 foot angle, a plow that can be angled, if 4 foot, if it's flat, it's going 4 feet. But if it's angled, it's conceivably pushing less than 4 feet because the area is reduced. That's partly why it's being angled. Isn't that right? Or would a 5
It
foot?
would probably be, a 5 or a 5.5 foot plow, that when it was angled, it would only be 4.
Right. So that's why I'm wondering if a 5 foot plow angled would achieve the 4 foot width on those sidewalks that are narrower.
The issue is the wheels the wheels would be running on the snow. So you need something that clears, it at least has to clear where the wheels are running, otherwise you're running on the snow and packing it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, the actual machine width outside of the plow size, so from edge to edge of the wheels, we're looking at something, can we get something that's 4 feet? Or do Bobcat, are they only made in 5 feet? Which in that case, it's going to be running over snow. But yeah, I guess if Eric's able to research and just have the starting point of 4 feet, and then if they don't even make one that size, then obviously figure out how a 5 foot one might be adapted to, or best case, how we could use it with our sidewalks.
Yep, okay.
I did see, Eric, in that booklet that I gave you that they also make and I realized the Kubota snow blower is quite a lot slower than the V plow.
Yeah.
I don't know if Middlebury one's down through with their snow blower, it works pretty good. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's, you'd have to talk with them, but whether it's about the same speed or a little less, but not, I know the Kubota is quite slower.
it is a lot slower when you put the blower on it. But our sidewalks, I mean, Middlebury sidewalks are probably a lot smoother than ours. And that's what the issue with ours is.
Yeah, the new ones are, but they got old ones like we got.
Oh, okay, so maybe, yeah, okay, I'll call them and ask them.
So to summarize, it sounds like there's agreement that the machine ideally would be 4 foot wide, but have a plow that could accommodate 5 foot wide or 4 foot wide and cover the wheels.
Correct.
Right.
All right, so that question has been answered. Let's move on. Item 3, consider authorization to proceed with replacement of the cross-country single axle trailer.
Yeah, irrespective or irregardless of the previous agenda items about purchasing the Kubota or a loader, replacement of the cross-country trailer is also on the list, and it's much less expensive item to replace, and it's potentially a safety hazard. So the question to the select board is, should we go ahead and do it
How
now?
old is this?
The trailer?
Yeah.
It was before Pete won it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's 15 years old at least. Is this one with the signs on it and the,
no,
The
it's
culvert
the one that
thaw.
we use the
culvert
culvert
thaw.
Thor with.
Is
Yeah,
that
we-
trailer heavy enough?
No, it's a single axle landscape trailer. My guess is it's rated for 15 to 1,700 pounds is my guess. And when we put a 250 gallon water tank on the back of it, plus the pressure washer, plus probably 4 bags of chloride and then the hose. So the tank alone is what, 2,000 pounds?
Yeah.
Approximately?
2,500 pounds.
10 pounds to the gallon, including the tank. Is
Yeah,
it- is
okay,
it-
it's a little bit more than that then, so, and we're overloaded, we've already had to put, springs in it. Axle broke once,
Now, that's not the same trailer, or you have a same size trailer, a single axle for the street signs, right?
no, that's a different trailer. That one actually is smaller than
Oh, it is?
Yes.
So, okay.
So what are you looking at for a trailer?
tandem. Something that can hold a weight, probably, 12, 14 foot long, I don't want nothing 16, 18 foot. Because it goes in the grain barn, when it's all loaded up, it goes in the grain barn between both trucks. So it can't be, extremely long. What we have right now is a 12-foot, single axle trailer. Ideally, if we could keep a 12-foot tandem would be perfect, but I don't think they go 12-foot tandem. I think the smallest they do is 14. And that would be fine too, but just something with a weight rating up on it. And then that way there, we could also, depending on what we bought for a trailer, if, for example, the Kubota needed to go to Champlain Valley, we could truck it ourselves rather than having them come get it. Potentially.
Do we pay a cost if they have to come get it?
Oh yeah, they charge you
Okay.
for picking it up.
Yeah.
And they ain't cheap.
Huh?
It ain't cheap.
No,
No, and delivering it back when they're done.
I guess I wouldn't be against, but I'd like to get some answers on number one. Whether, if we're gonna buy a loader, then maybe we'll wait a year.
That's fine with me.
But if
I mean, that
that's-
trailer, we can go through another winter with that trailer.
But-
I was mentioning it to Valerie,
Yeah.
that we're gonna need to do it, so she thought maybe this would be a good time to put it on there, so I said, yeah, go ahead, so.
What do you guys
But the
think?
loader to me is more important than a trailer.
I was just gonna say, what's your priority
Lower.
list?
If we got the grant for the loader and we barely got enough after July 1, we could say, Eric, you're gonna have to get through Kubota and the cross country for this year and then maybe next year at this time, or the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm good with whatever. I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention, that's all, that it needs to be, replaced. So.
Yeah, that's
So I
Can we
guess
bump-
no, no action needs to be taken on this, I guess.
And we'll put it back on the agenda for when? Next.
Why don't we have him, why don't we at least have him research it and get us some prices?
Yeah.
See what he can get, short a trailer he can get and what kind of money we're talking, just so that we have
Something
the
to-
ability to plan.
Okay.
All right.
And
Right,
whatever
Eric.
trade-in value or repurposing value the current trailer has.
All right, so Eric's homework so far is the Bobcat research and the trailer research. Do we need loader research too, or do you already have that, Eric?
I talked with Tim about it during the summer, so, and that's what he was, for the same size machine that we got now, we're looking at right around 2.25.
And
For the
remember,
same size.
remember we talked about possibly getting a sweeper for the front of it that picks it itself up, so we don't have to hire it out, like the Gens has. Remember we talked about that?
We sweep our own now.
No, he's talking for the village, Peter,
For
you
village
know,
to
only
sweep.
hire somebody to
Oh.
go sweep the village.
The Gens has that thing in the
The
front
Gens
where it
has
sweeps it into a bucket.
Pickup broom that goes on the loader, and that's what, Jimmy goes around with.
You said yours couldn't do it here because you don't have the front hydraulics or something. So the machine you and
The
Tim
machine
talked
I'm
about,
gonna get is gonna have the auxiliary hydraulics on the front. Cause I'd rather be able to go, drop out of the bucket, go into the forks.
Yep.
And,
All right, so we've got 89 in the long range capital equipment fund. And then when do we get what's our next one, 135? That's next July. No, wait, when is that?
Yeah, after
November?
July.
July,
Okay.
we have
right.
83 right now.
Oh, 83. So we can't do anything until after July 1st next year, correct?
Well, we can.
Depends on what the grant is, if you do get the
Yeah.
grant.
And
Oh,
it
that's true.
depends. In the past, we've gotten creative with, financing for 6
A
months
year,
or a year.
or
And
whatever.
Right.
Finance it through Tim for a year.
So
yeah.
that raises the question, since we do have some funds in the account, do folks want to go ahead with the trailer? Knowing that we can be creative, like Peter just mentioned.
I think
Yeah,
we'll get the
get us
information
some
first.
prices, get us some prices.
I can do that.
Okay,
Okay.
so this is on hold.
Yep.
Okay,
I should be able to get them to you by the next meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you, Eric.
Tomorrow would be
All right.
good.
I can do that too.
All right, item 4, consider approval of the technical and cost proposal for Greenman Pedersen LLC to serve as municipal project manager for the Basin Street Improvement Project.
yes, as I mentioned in my notes, even though it was widely advertised and we did receive some inquiries, we received only one actual proposal. Technical, so the review committee met and reviewed the technical proposal first and ranked it. And it had received almost uniform 100% score. It was a very well done proposal. And then they reviewed the cost proposal, and the cost proposal came in at $34,000, which is frankly is below what we would have expected for a municipal project manager position. So we recommend approval.
So is that 34.5 an estimate, or like, will they go over that, or that's really?
Well,
what-
it does say estimate, but I will clarify whether it's a not to exceed. I would rather, I do not like lump sums generally. I prefer not to exceeds. So that does require them to account for their time during the different tasks. Unlike lump sums where you just do it. So I'll clarify that.
So Valerie, this project though, in realistic, how many years are we out to do this? And is this gonna get to a point and then sit on a shelf and we spent?
No.
$54,000
One of the grants requires it to be under construction by, I think, April of 2024. Under construction.
And how or if we are we short any funds?
I don't know
have
yet.
no idea.
We won't know that until after the design team is hired and does their work. And then
This isn't the design team though, correct? This part isn't the
This is
design.
just the.
This is
project
just the
manager.
municipal project manager who is going to assist me in developing the scope of work for the design team, the engineering and design team. We'll get that out to bid as quickly as possible. And then we bring those people on board, get them acquainted with the area and everything. And they begin their work. One of the first orders of business will be for the geotechnical folks to get into the slope and try to determine more of the slope's actual characteristics. The preliminary engineering report that was produced by Green Mountain Engineering included a section on that, and they did some preliminary work. And their recommendation was do more explicit and specific geotechnical work. So we need to do that. And the engineers will take that into consideration and design the slope of both the actual slope, regrading it, rebuilding the streetscape area to improve the drainage, and realigning Basin Street near the top. We won't be able to fix the entire length of Basin Street. We won't be able to change the slope down there all that much, but the idea is to taper it near the top, create a landing where vehicles can pull off and actually have a safe place to either turn left or right. It's also going to include examining the drainage under Main Street, and it quite likely will result in needing to dig up the culverts under Main Street to fix the drainage, the chronic drainage problem that's there, and increase the culvert size and deal with the drainage going down the slope, and dealing with the drainage going down the rest of Basin Street, because the outlet of the stormwater at the river is all plugged up. It's filled with silt, and there's just a lot of problems that need to be fixed down there. We've actually had 3 grants to do this. But $26,000 is one grant to do the stormwater component or part of the stormwater component. And the other 2 are for the upper Basin Street and the road.
The design isn't complete yet of this?
Oh, the design hasn't started yet. We haven't hired the
I guess,
engineers.
are we putting the cart before the horse? How does somebody give you an estimate to be the project manager when they haven't seen the design, what they're going to be project managing?
Well, they know what the scope of work is. It's the scope of work is going through process, going through the procedures of hiring these people, writing the scope, helping with the advertising, doing the reviews, bid specs, developing the bid specifications, and working with whoever's hired to do the design. To follow. There's extensive process involved with this project because there's federal funding and there's V-Trans funding.
Okay. So the project manager isn't, once it starts digging, it oversees the project. That's.
And I believe that there's some level of involvement. There'll be some level of involvement during construction, but we may need to hire an independent construction inspection person. Ordinarily, it'd be nice if.
Probably the engineer we hire to do the design will do the construction inspection.
Possibly.
That's typically the way that works.
That's what we did on West Street.
Yeah. But this person is helping Valerie do the bid specs and
That's what this 34,000.
Yes.
Okay. When you said project manager, I was thinking, okay, we got all that.
So was I.
Big yellow machines are there now, and the trucks.
Right.
And now they're going to manage the project for us. And that's not
exactly. Yeah,
okay.
and help
all right,
with.
Now I'm clear. Clear as mud.
And help with the reimbursements, reviewing invoices, stuff like that. Administrative. Yeah, this is more of an administrative role to help make sure that we follow all of the proper procedures, cross our T's, dot our I's.
Hey Val, these people that submitted their proposal, I see Peter was on from V-Trans was on there. Has he worked with this person before, or this company?
I don't know. That did not come up.
I mean, they've done a lot of Vermont-based projects, even though they're out of.
I know, that's why I asked, because I was trying to figure out if he had an in on how good they were.
Ironically, the person we'll be working with lives in Waitsfield.
Oh.
Total coincidence.
Huh. Okay.
Make a motion, we accept the technical and cost proposal for whoever it is.
GPI.
Okay, GPI.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
All those against, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
No idea.
All right, excellent. We can get that project going.
In that name on the back of the jackets.
All
right. Item 5, review upcoming FY 23-24 budget, town report, and town meeting schedule.
Oh, she gone.
No. I was back.
You're muted.
Muted.
But we can see you now.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened. I was suddenly signed out.
You're back. Well, we voted on that and said thumbs up. So
Oh, good. Thank you.
we're
Now we can get that going.
yeah,
Yeah,
excited to get that going.
Yeah, time is not entirely on our side, but we can ask for extensions. And we can also, there's also additional grant funding available if we find there is a gap in funding. And oftentimes when a project is underway, especially an important one like this, gap funding can be available if we find it's needed.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Yeah, we moved on. So we're going to do item 5, review upcoming FY 2023-2024 budget, town report, and town meeting schedule.
Yes. All right. I hope folks had a chance to glance at the calendar that I sent out. It's both a calendar and it looks back at what we've accomplished and looks ahead at some of the things that we need to do. And it also includes lists of what we've done, which each year grows. I do take off, as the years go by, I do take off some of the older ones, but sometimes it's handy to hang on to some of the lists just to remember what we have accomplished in recent years. And it also includes a list of current things that are underway in some form. And then it includes a list of future projects and goals. So that we don't lose sight of what the other things that we are trying to achieve, like wastewater improvements, things like that. But it is.
You want to put that up?
Say that again?
You want to put that up? Because I didn't print it off.
Oh, sure. That's a good idea. I didn't even think about it. Let me find it before I, let's see. Yes. Sharing screen. Oh, wait, I have to move it over here. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So just taking quick glances back through April and May and June and July, the select board accomplished quite a lot of things. We had a lot of things on the agendas, and sometimes those things interfered with other things that we wanted to have on the agendas and just couldn't get to. And looking back at these lists helps us remember why we might not have gotten to some of the things that we originally intended to do. So back to closer to where we are now. And there, hopefully folks can get a printout of this off the website if you'd like. Here we are in November. Not a lot happening yet. Budget season is coming up. I think at the next meeting, we'll have a lot more substance to talk about, although tonight's agenda was fairly meaty. Then looking ahead, I want to let you know that some of you already do know, but I want to let you know that I'm scheduled for the surgery on December 12th. So that's a select board meeting night. I won't be there.
You can't even zoom in?
I hope not.
I won't be able to do much of anything.
Okay.
Might be
Probably
somebody to
won't
listen to you though.
Available for the 19th either, because I won't be able to do any preparation for it, or very little. So,
And we wouldn't expect that though. So
oh yeah. So one question is whether you want to rearrange your schedule to meet on the 8th. Is that right? The meeting before the 12th.
The 5th, December 5th.
So the 8th. If folks want to meet then, or the 6th. It's the 6th. Yeah, I need the glasses.
On a Tuesday?
No, on a, oh, right. Yes.
Monday is the 5th.
Right. Yep. Well, this is one reason why I'm having the operation.
well, okay, so I mean, I'm happy to do that. I wonder.
On the 5th.
Obviously, you're having surgery, and it's going to be the next week. What are your needs in terms of preparation for what you're going to be doing?
Well, I
don't want to feel that we're making you do the week before, even though you should be focused on that and doing other things and not focused on this.
It would probably be a light agenda. I mean, I could do the preparations the week before like usual, but it would probably be a light agenda. It'll be what it'll be, and certainly run it by folks. But I won't be there to participate or do anything else with it.
Okay.
You mean
But
for
I
the
could-
5th, or you mean for
Well,
the 5th?
that was the 12th. That would be for the 12th. For the 5th, if you choose to meet on the 5th, which would be the following week of the 28th, back to back, I could fully participate and prepare for that. So it would be the 12th and the 19th that I would be out of commission.
So if we did it on the 5th, we'd skip the 9th.
12.
I'm
12th.
sorry, skip the
12th.
12th. Skip the 12th, and then what we'd do, meet on the 19th. And we just, we would work together on
Well,
it.
You could still meet on the 12th. I could do the preps for the 12th, do the agenda and upload stuff to the website and the other stuff, the postings. I just wouldn't be there.
I would say no on the 12th. You got other things to worry about.
Yeah, me too.
I would say we
5th
could do it on the 5th so you could participate, and then we could deal with the next meeting. Figure out what's what.
Folks,
We can do the
and if you can do the 19th, if somebody else wants to pick up, setting up, doing the agenda, putting some of the materials together, posting them to the website if possible.
Ian's pretty good at that.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
look Ian.
I was gonna
Sure.
say, it's because,
Well,
I'm not.
The three of us
I
at
am
the
the chair,
table here
so
think Ian
I-
could do it.
I feel that that's my responsibility anyway. So yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You'd be doing it by yourself. I mean, we'd have
Yeah.
to figure out a way to get agenda items to us.
Yeah.
Normally they go through Val, so it's really
Right.
gonna be that.
Well, Ian has all of your email addresses. The thing that would be missing would be the email blast that I do
Right.
to about 160 emails. And then, well, Ian's pretty good at being able to post stuff to Front Porch Forum.
Yeah,
You know,
I can do that.
I was thinking about items that you may get like during the week that you put on the
Right.
agenda. So if somebody comes in with a concern or whatever.
Right.
Right,
That
it
would-
would be.
Yeah.
I mean, your cutoff is Wednesday on that. So anything that came in after, it's not going to be on there anyway.
Mhm.
And so your cutoff would be Wednesday the 7th. So and you'd still be willing to accept those.
Oh, yeah.
And so you could just I don't know. So if you're having it on the 12th, do you plan to take off any days the prior week?
No,
in
not
preparation?
needed. I don't think that there's anything I need to really prepare for
Okay.
that I need
All
to
right,
take
so that's-
time for.
So if you're willing just to you have your cutoff on the 7th, if anything, and you can send me details of those items that I can put together the agenda. And then if things crop up on the 8th or 9th, you can again forward them to me and I can decide whether to add them or not.
Yeah, and I will still be available on the 8th or the 9th to do the email blast.
Okay.
Ian, you're thinking we're gonna just do this on the 12th and not do it on the 5th? I
Right.
was
Sorry.
thinking,
Yes.
I
Yes.
was,
I'm a week behind. Yes, you're right. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah,
that
that-
does.
That was
You're right.
two different things.
That does make it okay. So, because if requests go directly to you and you shouldn't be answering your email, then I guess we would have to maybe we figure out where someone can check on your email, whether that's me or Sharon or something like that, just at the office, and then just have a quick look through, see what agenda items maybe have come in, and then we can create it from there. And I could work with Sharon on that perhaps, and we can
Well,
we can
also,
discuss
I
it
would
as we get closer
be
to.
doing an out of office automatic reply. So
Oh,
if
that's
folks-
true. So you could put
if
me
folks send
my
me something, they'll get a bounce message that says,
Okay.
if you need something, go to this other
Right.
person instead.
It's interesting that we don't have sort of contingency for this because you're so dedicated, Val, that we've never had to do this. So yeah, but
and
yeah,
if
we
you have an out of
but-
office reply that says select board concerns or items,
Yeah.
email Ian.
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Okey-dokey.
So it
Yeah,
sounds to me
so
like
let's
we're still going with the 12th.
No, let's do. I was sort of a week behind, so let's do the 5th, allowing you to sort of do one before the 12th, and then we'll just have hopefully I'll build an agenda for the 19th.
Well, no, it wouldn't be the
Yes.
19th,
Yeah,
Yeah.
5th and the 19th.
because then we're
Yeah.
not doing one the following week, because that's like Christmas or something like that.
That's 26th, Monday
Yeah.
the 26th.
Mhm.
All right.
Yep, got it.
All right, so folks, make sure you move that in your calendar. So 5th and the 19th.
You got it in your head.
Now, the ARPA committee is also planning to meet on the 5th, so they'll have to do one of those 5:30 jobs again.
Oh, that's right. So the 19th, we actually didn't have one. It was the 12th and the 26th.
It was the
Oh,
12th
okay.
and the 19th. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I had that wrong on mine. Okay.
I do feel that the 12th still can work, but I just won't be there.
It's probably,
We have to protect you from yourself.
Yeah, seriously. You're absolutely right. Okay. All right, good. So we blocked down the 5th and the 19th, which gives us our 2 weeks in between. And then I will build the agenda out and do the appropriate sending. And I'll figure out with you, Val, just your email list. I can get a copy of that and just send that. We can figure that
Okay.
out. That's not a problem.
right.
With regard to the town report, I spoke with Sharon today about that. I'm going to help out again with organizing that and putting that together with Sharon. She mentioned sending out just initial emails to our various town departments for that, and I was going to reach out to the various nonprofits and groups like that. Usually we have very few reports from nonprofits. I'd actually like to see that a little bit meatier if we can, since towns, residents, voters give money to those organizations. So I'm going to reach out to them and see if we can get that a little bit more detailed, perhaps. But so that's going to be, and I'm going to start doing that probably this week. So that's underway, or will be underway within the week. And then we'd have to decide whether we wanted to stay with the printers that we used last year or put it out to bid again. I'm not sure what people's preference is for that. I'm fine with staying with who we used last year. I think they did an excellent job, but I'm not sure what the process is for that.
did he give us just a 1-year bid, or did he give us?
I thought it was a 3-year.
I thought it was just
yeah.
I thought it was a 1 year, but we can check back on that.
That's my thought too. And we
Because
need
previous-
to,
April gave us one.
we need to inquire about whether there is still a paper shortage
Right.
and how that might affect things and price.
Okay. Anything else on that list that you want to highlight, Val?
Well, this might be premature to ask, but town meeting hybrid in person, or is it all Zoom? Or all?
My
in-
my understanding is as of January, you can no longer just do Zoom. You have to
Okay.
have an in-person meeting,
Okay.
as you can still use Zoom, but it can't just be Zoom. It has
Okay.
to be
Right,
in person.
that was
Which is what we did
the-
last year.
Yeah, the hybrid.
Yeah, but we can have the town meeting on the night before and actually vote how, we're supposed to revert back to how we were before COVID restrictions. So
Ah,
a lot of the stuff will be done at town meeting. And then just the candidates and whatever other articles need to be on the ballot on Tuesday will be on there. But the stuff that we normally do at town meeting is supposed to go back to town meeting to vote on, like the budgets and the appropriations, is my understanding right now. At least that's what all the traffic's been.
So and like last year, you could either vote for the budget or not, you couldn't amend it, because it was all Zoom.
No,
Right.
it was
Or 2 years
all-
ago.
It was all, yeah, it was all
Australian.
Australian
All Australian.
ballot. Yeah.
well, yeah, that's another question. All
Yeah.
Australian ballot or not? I guess if it's hybrid, we'll have no way of knowing who's a voter and who's not. Well, it would be cumbersome. So I guess it would be all Australian ballot again.
Well, I don't know if
If
we
we-
can,
if
like I
you're-
said, we're supposed to revert back to what it was before COVID.
Right?
Right, and we
If
would have,
that's-
had to have voted this year, last
To do
March, we would have had
everything
to have voted.
Australian
That's
ballot,
correct, and
right.
we didn't do that,
Oh
so
my.
now
right.
it reverts back.
And so in
we-
that
and
case,
we-
I don't think you can you can't do a hybrid. You have,
No,
it
I
would
think it
have to
has
be
to
in
be
person.
all in person. Yeah.
Well, you can
Right.
still offer a Zoom option. Anyone on Zoom wouldn't be able to vote.
To vote. Right.
Yeah. And then we want to decide if we want to go Australian, if we actually wanted to put that on the ballot and have voters vote to have that be a more permanent thing, or if we just want to have it, those budget decisions only be made at town meeting.
I don't know, the year we brought it up, it was very, a lot of people were very adamant that it stay voting at town meeting because it was tradition, but
Well, and
if
they
you
could
vote
make
every-
changes to it.
yeah.
Yeah, and if you vote everything by Australian ballot, there's really no need to have a night meeting, you're just barely having an informational.
Yeah.
You're reading every article and say, tomorrow you get to vote on that, tomorrow you get to vote
Right.
on that.
Right. Part of the argument for having Australian is that you could see it as more democratic in terms of having the higher amount of people voting on those items. You know, for whatever reason, you may not be able to attend the town meeting what that's voting on. But also, too, the argument against that is perhaps the people voting aren't as informed because they haven't gone to a town meeting to have these various items explained to them. And oftentimes, you know, before I was a select board member, I would go to town meetings and they were well attended. And Bristol residents, Bristol voters asked a lot of questions of the select board, which I thought was great. So it is a tradition I'd like to see keep going, but I think it is a discussion we should have. And I think, Peter, you're right. People are interested in keeping it town meeting. So if we can get that back safely, I'd like to see that.
So at some
So
point, we need to make a
we-
decision.
Put it on the agenda and we ask the people at town meeting if they want us to have it as a vote the following year. I
Yeah.
think that's what we did last time, and the consensus was, no, keep it on the floor.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you
Yeah.
only in the town meeting to answer that, not
Yeah,
all,
well,
not all
that's
voters.
very true.
So, you know.
But I don't know,
how
you
you
know,
would do that.
I don't,
I mean, you're,
everything, the last 2 years where we voted on everything by Australian ballot, it's all passed. There hasn't been any that were voted down. So I don't, so obviously the people that are showing up at town meeting are carrying the consensus of the rest of the town.
Yeah.
We have our Monday night town meeting and vote everything and have a question on the ballot the following day. Do the voters wish to have preceding town meetings 2024 and beyond voted by everything by Australian ballot? Can we have that question? Sharon, is that something we could check with the Secretary of State's office?
I think we can. I can check. I know you couldn't do it during COVID because you weren't following the same process that you would normally follow. But I think this year we could probably have it on there, but I will double check with the Secretary of State's office.
Doesn't your town vote all Australian ballot?
Yeah,
No,
Virginia's
we
right.
vote, oh, Virgins?
Yeah.
Yeah, they put all the appropriations in the budget. I believe so, yes. I've
So
actually
it
never
can,
gone
so
to a
it can
town
be
meeting.
done, it can be
Yep.
done. Figure out what the
Yeah.
Yeah,
process.
yeah, I think it's just a question on the ballot. I mean, I don't,
Yeah, I know you have to have the voters approved to have everything Australian ballot, but
I mean, you can take a consensus of the people at their at town meeting on the floor, but that doesn't mean you can't ask the question so that all the voters can
Right,
answer
Right,
that
that's what I'm
question.
saying.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think you have to have it on the ballot in order
Right.
for it to change.
Right.
I mean, there's any harm.
Would we ask for it to change or would we ask preference?
Hmm.
I think you have to ask a yes or no answer. I don't think it's a preference. It's gotta be a yes or no answer.
Well, it would still be a yes or no. Yes, I'd like to see it all Australian ballot.
Right.
No, I wouldn't.
Mhm.
Or do we have it a vote, either it is all Australian ballot or it stays on the at town meeting? I mean, those are your two options.
Mhm.
You ask the question,
Yeah,
I mean, either way, the answer is gonna be the same. It's just one would make it official and the other would
Prolong it a year.
put it off another year.
It's
I-
tough because, town meeting attendance was dropping slowly, even from when I first moved here 16 years ago. I remember it being, maybe it's just the years have passed and my memory's fading. But I remember it just packed when I first moved here. And each year it seems to get progressively smaller. And now because of pandemic and because COVID is staying around and it's something that
No,
we're going to have to
because
deal
the
with.
because the school board's no longer with the town meeting.
Well, oh, that's true. Yes. So that did
No.
change numbers there. But I mean, with the pandemic, it's something where we're going to get even fewer people for town meeting. And so then you have a tiny percentage passing budgets for the entire town. So, but you also have people who went to town meeting and were engaged and had questions about the budgets and were paying attention. So I think there is some merit to that as well.
I think it's important to still have the town meeting to get those questions, because even if they may not be able to change it for this year, it's something we can,
Yeah.
As a board can look at for future years. If
Yeah,
there's a
but maybe
concern.
Peaker's suggestion in terms of having it where you want it to stay as town meeting or have it Australian. That's a clear yes or no, and we'll see what happens, and then we can adjust accordingly if we need to for 2024.
What, so
Okay.
you're saying, ask the question, but don't make it definitive?
Don't have the vote on going to Australia ballot, but I guess
I mean, what's the difference?
if the majority said they wanted to go to Australian ballot,
Then they gotta wait a whole nother
they
year.
gotta wait another year and it's gonna be the same.
Yeah.
It should be the same vote.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Because if we say, do you want it as Australian ballot, do you want to say, then we have to put the question on the ballot the following year to say, yes, let's go to Australian ballot.
How do you ask a two-part question?
You
Well,
don't.
no.
It's just, question is,
Want to stay town meeting Monday night and voting on budgets and appropriations? Yes or no? Is that all you're gonna
No,
ask?
do you?
I think you can't ask, or do you want it?
no,
No, no,
what I'm
that's
saying,
what I'm saying.
what we're saying is, do we do that or do we just come out and say town meeting or Australian ballot and they vote on it and next year,
It's, then it
2020.
is whatever it is.
it would be either Australian ballot or town meeting, whatever they voted. Whereas
Yeah,
if
you'll
you-
always have Australian ballot though, because the candidates have to be by Australian ballot.
Right,
Right.
no, but
So
he's
you
talking
still
about
have-
everything, budgets
Yeah,
and
everything
It's an
else.
appropriations.
Right,
Appropriations and budgets.
I think we just ask the question. and get
Yeah, I
a
think
definitive
it's probably,
definitive
ask the question
answer.
and let it go.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get the same answer.
Would you ask it with 125 in the hall on a Monday night, or you ask it with 300 or 400 that voted on Tuesday? Saturday,
Yeah, you
Sunday?
ask
it's
it
a
on
You have
vote.
to ask it on the
It's a
ballot.
I say we plan on asking the question.
Uh-huh. I do too.
All right. So that will be on the ballot, already planned, and we can discuss it on the Monday night, and then it would be voted
Right.
on, and then that would be for 2024.
Yes, correct.
2024, yep.
Okay. All right. I guess we could have asked it this year. I know we talked about it, but I think because of We
But I
weren't even
think they-
sure, we weren't even sure if we were gonna do hybrid and stuff like that again, or, yeah.
And I think the Secretary of State, if I remember correctly, told us you can't do it during a pandemic. It has to be when you're on your regular
Oh, interesting.
voting process.
Okay.
I do remember that
remember that,
discussion,
yeah.
Sharon.
Okay, all right. Any other discussion on this, Val?
Not from me.
Okay. So yeah, that list is on the website to look at our past goals and future goals. When do we start? Budget review is in December. That's when we start that.
Well, ideally, it's a preliminary level on the next meeting in November.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
ideally. We'll see how that goes.
And I mentioned it about a month or a month and a half ago, at least. I'd like to do the budgets, we tell the department heads. We always seem to go over their whole line by line, and we get all done. We say, oh, that's a 2 or 3% or 4% increase. And then we put wages in. I'd like to know the wages first. And then they know how much money, or they got to cut. If we say, now with wages, your budget's 10%, and maybe that's out of control. And we say, okay, where are we going to cut the budget? Seems like we always do the budget, you kind of like finalize it, then we put wages in. And we're going, uh-oh. I'd like to kind of reverse that role, know what our percentage increase or our wages are going to be, what reflects that budget. Taking the highway department, let's say, and then when Eric starts making his budget, he goes, well, I've only got so much percentage, and then, well, we're not gonna salt quite as much, we're gonna put more sand down, or we're gonna do this or that. Just, I'm not picking on Eric, I don't mean, but I'm just, because he's sitting in the room, I'd like to do what we're gonna give for wages first.
I mean, our question is, when they figure their budget, don't they figure in their, part of their budget is their wages, so they should be figuring out what they think.
Well, they know what we paid
should be.
last year.
Well, I understand that, but shouldn't they be thinking about what their salary increases are gonna be as part of their budget?
Well, I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
gonna just.
I think it's often looked at as a separate thing, right? And I think, Joel, you're right. We look at it, we're looking at the bigger budget, even if it contains wages, it's sort of something that we look at later on. But I think you're right, Joel. It'd be nice to sort of look at that and put priority on that first, and then move towards the everything else in the budget. I think it's a good suggestion.
So the select board would want to have the discussion about cost of living increases and all that stuff first, and who gets raises and by what percent, and that, because that's kind of what you're talking about. That's,
Yeah.
At least give the department heads, okay, we're looking at we'll say a number, 3% wage increase, or 4%, whatever it's gonna be. So they build that in, and then you build it into their lines, Valerie, help them, and then they start with the rest. And then when it gets all done, go, boy, we got a 10% increase in wages, or 10% increase in my budget, I better, and it's maybe not acceptable to us 5 sitting here, and we say.
so if the select board is thinking of as a baseline, just for evaluation purposes, a 3% increase in every department right now off the bat to start, and then they can build their budgets around that.
Yeah, because we already know the health premiums are going up, so we know what that number is.
We do, yeah. We don't know insurance quite yet. The other insurances.
Yeah, the VLCT.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I just don't like to balance the budget. When we get all said and done, it seems like we put the wages in. I mean, one of the last things we do.
Right.
We put our percentage in early.
Yeah, well, let's put a percentage in, and then if we want to, you know what, this department or this person in this department has done exceptionally well, we're going above and beyond that one. Or in this one, we haven't, so we're gonna, but we give them a baseline of.
I think that's always been in there, though. There's always any budget I've ever done since I've been here, there's always an increase in the wage line, whether we do it by percentage or by merit, It's always in there when we start. It's not a surprise at the end. We don't get to the end and say, oh, what are we gonna do? Valerie prepares the budget and she builds in either 2 or 2.5%, and it's there right from day one.
So Eric, when
Right.
you get your line.
That's true.
Okay, I'm okay with that then. If we get it in there, no, when Eric looks at his budget, he just skips over those first 5 lines probably, I don't know.
Yeah, I've already done that with Valerie.
So she's already put what the increases are gonna be.
Yeah, she asked, we sit down and we
Okay,
talk about what we're gonna do for raises and stuff, and then she puts that in there, and then she sends me the form or the printout, whatever you wanna call
The
it.
budget sheet.
Yeah,
budget sheet,
and that
okay,
I fill in my line items for.
okay, and then Sharon or Anthony or Valerie, one of the 3 there. Okay, boy, we had a hard winter, we had a lot of overtime, so you might adjust that, that's in your bailiwick to adjust, right, not theirs.
As far as
Like an overtime, you said, Jesus, we went way over on overtime this past year, so we're going to have to, and we've got a pattern here.
But yeah, if he has to up his overtime line.
Yeah, that's what Valerie and I talked about. We talked about the regular wages, the overtime amount, you know, the bulk, the full number, not individual people, but the full number.
Okay, all right. I mean, somewhat you're doing what I'd like you to do, then you guys, I guess, are doing it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's because those are worked in, and then when we usually start budgeting, we are looking at everything but that, because that's sort of automatically there. And I think that's where you're coming from, Joel, because I feel the same way. Like, we don't seem to touch on personnel first, we deal with everything else. And then we look at those numbers that have already been built into the budget, and then we start thinking about, okay, in terms of raises and things like that. So I think it's fine just to sort of look at and think about personnel at this very start, and just make sure that it's a number that we're happy with, that we want to add in to that. Then look at the normal budget and then sort of revisit it at the end in terms of those final numbers.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. Well, let's move on then. Item 6, American Rescue Plan Act funding update.
I have nothing to add to what I wrote in the my report, which is actually what Porter Knight put in a Front Porch Forum posting, giving an overall summary of all the work that the committee has done, where they're at, and where they're headed. And I thought that was a really nice way to summarize things. So the last paragraph of her report said that though not all of the hundreds of ideas will be funded through the ARPA money, all the excellent ideas will be shared with the select board. And we hope that many of these good ideas will be put into action with various alternate funding sources in the coming years. So the plan is for the committee to continue to sort through the information received, give it one more public review, the final list, and then give a presentation to the select board for recommendations after town meeting.
Okay, I have a question. I got an email from one of the Middlebury College student who's working with Jessica on doing some research on how the towns are using the ARPA fundings and wanting an interview.
Yep.
Did you get one, Ian?
I did.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out, are we going to interview individually? Should we have Val do this? I mean, I just don't know how to respond to this. Because I mean, we haven't even gotten stuff, you know, we just know we're going to get it and then we're evaluating.
If you want, I can do the interview on behalf of the select board, just because I've been the most involved with the ARPA committee. If the board members are fine with that, I think it's, you know, they can send questions beforehand, so we can look at them. But I think it's just because it's just to get a wide sort of range of people that they're talking to in terms of the ARPA funding and how this town is handling it.
I don't know if you want to do the interview without that.
Yeah, that's fine.
You got a clue.
I was like, well, I can't answer for the rest of the select board, but.
Right. Yeah, I'll look through the questions and obviously and be mindful of my answers. But yeah, it seems like it's going very well. You know, there are a lot of good ideas that were picked out and highlighted by that committee. But there's also a lot that sort of, you know, fell below the top 10 or whatever. And so I guess we'll have to see. It'll be interesting once we start to get numbers sort of attached to that, how many we're able to fund, and if there are the ones that rose to the top in terms of the committee members' eyes, whether they could be funded quite easily, or if it uses up the majority of our funding that we received, or if we're able to add more projects to that. At the moment, it seems like looking at the projects that people selected and highlighted, a lot of those aren't huge ticket items. So it seems like we are able to fund quite a few, and possibly more than we think. So I'm hopeful of that.
Ian, was there any, and I haven't seen really the list, was there any town projects that got put into that? I mean, I know you had you had asked us for a list of ideas, and you had a bunch. Did all those get put into their?
It was a very wide mix. The biggest things that were being requested were childcare, and housing, and in a smaller sense, transportation. Those were the two biggest ones, and those ones, childcare. There are some examples where we can help out establish childcare facilities, update facilities, or even help build new facilities. The housing part is the tougher one to crack, and the committee is looking at that in more detail. There was a few of mine that I was interested in, which was, there aren't sort of sexy projects, but it was like updating the town website just because for communication purposes, and just doing IT. They didn't make the top 10, and so I'd like to see them there, but I don't want to use my influence as a select board member to say like, hey, these should be higher. But I do think it's like, especially for the website stuff, that's where it's much harder to get funding.
Right.
A lot of the other projects you're able to get funding for, like the electric vehicle charging. We know that the grants are coming down the line, but it's always hard to get stuff for technology, especially anything that's sort of online based. So there were some of them in there, but a lot of them it was just a big mix from either nonprofit groups or local groups in Bristol versus our thing. There was the community center was very high, but again, it was a very nebulous idea. And so and we knew, as we suggested that would, the entire amount of money could be used for that, and you still wouldn't have a community center. So, and it'll also be interesting too, to see what the public, once we put these out there, what response the public has too. All right, moving. Val?
No, I can't add anything to that.
Oh, okay. Item 7, consider approval of listers, errors, and emissions report.
Hopefully folks had a chance to look at what was provided online. I did, as I mentioned in my notes, there might be another one coming on Monday. The way things went today, I did not have a chance to scan it to you or to post it to the website, this updated edition. So if you want, I can share screen this added element to the request.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. This will be tricky. Let's see.
Valerie, you could also put these errors and emissions, you have until the end of the year. You could put it on the next meeting.
Oh.
They don't need to be done tonight. Errors and emissions have to be done by the calendar year, the end of the calendar year. Am I correct in saying that, Sharon? It was when I was a lister.
She's shaking her head, yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm happy to do that.
You got another one coming next week. I just put them all on
Put 'em on.
the
Yeah.
November
For the
28th.
28th, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
So the one that was in there, well, there's two. There's the property on West Street, and then it was land on Carlstrom Road. Is that correct? So there was
South Street, I believe.
Oh, was it South Street? It just said
Eldridge
parcel.
Road, Carlstrom Road.
Well, the Eldridge Road, that's in Florida, so it can't be that. But the property
Oh.
location was 77 West Street. So that
Yeah, it's
that was
West
one
Street.
that was incorrectly listed, so they didn't receive a tax bill. So
Well,
Yeah.
Justin Lathrop, the property is actually on South Street. They live on
Oh, it is.
Carlstrom, but that's not where the property is. They got
okay.
adjusted.
Right.
so that got decreased, and then we have an increase of that amount for the West Street parcel. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. I'm glad.
No,
I'm glad
the
that
one
was.
the one on South Street, they had taken out.
We took a grade
business and-
down.
Oh, okay.
It-
No,
it-
that was the Cane Hill.
What was
Okay.
that, Sharon?
The backside of Cane Hill, the rest of the property. The acreage was incorrect. He had it surveyed
Okay.
because his father wasn't sure exactly what he had. And we downgraded because it's so hilly there. There's only like a 2-acre parcel that you could even build on with what Justin got for property from his father. So
Wasn't there also a reduction in because of business versus personal? And they
No.
put the business to an LLC?
no, that's down on Hewitt Road. It's different.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's Thomas. This
Okay,
is
well, that's what I
Justin.
thought.
Okay.
There's 2 separate ones on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the, go on.
I just say, let's just do it next month.
Okay.
Or next
I
Next
was-
meeting.
month or the next
Yeah.
meeting?
Yeah, next meeting.
Next
is fine.
meeting.
Okay.
I did have one question. So for the one on 77 West Street, was that a new thing? They didn't receive a tax bill this year or last year, or had they not received numerous tax bills? Sharon.
She's looking.
Oh, okay. It says this property was incorrectly in the system as inactive, but I was just curious if it was just for 1 year or it was multiple years, or had it changed hands perhaps?
It hasn't, well, I think there might have been a divorce there or something, so
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure.
Left-hand side going out.
Because I think just Kristen owns it now,
Okay.
and unfortunately, it looks like the tax bill went to Florida when that's not where it should have gone.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. I was just curious. All right. Thank you very much for that information. Okay. Let's move on. Item 8, review and approval of minutes. What do we have for this evening?
The November 7th was emailed out this afternoon.
Oh, yes.
I
I did not
didn't
have a
see
chance to
them.
look at that. Nope.
Only 2
All right.
pages.
All
So
right,
you
let's
sent
push.
that out this afternoon?
Yeah,
Yeah,
late this afternoon.
and posted to the website.
All right, let's push that till next meeting.
Okay. They're all
Item
in
9.
progress.
Okay, thank you. Item 9, authorized accounts payable warrant and any liquor licenses. I signed today. I came in and paid my property tax.
Right, but you didn't sign the check warrant yet because it wasn't done.
Damn it.
Check warrant is 119,626. I don't think there are any surprises. We're paying for the solar and the trash that was found there. We're paying that bill. But other than that, it's pretty much run of the mill. We do have a liquor license and a tobacco license. The liquor license is for Vermont Wine and Cider event on December 11th from 10 to 6. It will be here at Holly Hall. It's a Bristol Wine Fair, some kind of tasting. And then we haven't done tobacco licenses historically, but apparently now with the new system, we're going to be required to. And Emerald Rose Beads and Stones has applied for their liquor license and
Tobacco license.
tobacco license, I mean. Yeah.
And
Sorry.
that would be Emerald Rose Grows.
Yeah, well, it's Emerald Rose Beads and Stones is actually, it's
Oh, okay, right, because it's
name, yeah, they don't show me the DBA here, but I know who it is. And so they paid the fee to the state. Like I said, we've never processed these before, but now we're going to be required. So the other question is, because we don't have we're also not getting any money for this because we don't have a commission for tobacco license. I saw something today. People were talking about they were getting money for these tobacco licenses, but since we don't have a commission or whatever, apparently, I don't even know if we can charge money for these. The only one we get any money for is the first liquor license. We don't get any for special events. We don't get any for the third. We don't get any for the outdoor. So and now apparently we don't get any for tobacco. So I don't know. I think we should.
So what would we need? We'd have to have a commission?
Well, that's what it looked like. Like I
Okay.
said, we've never done tobacco licenses, but so I want to
We
look
used to.
further into it because we used to, but not since I've been here. So I don't know when they stopped doing it. It went directly to DLC and they handled it, but now they're pushing it back to the towns.
Of course they are. They get the money and we do the work.
I
Yeah,
don't know how Waitsfield did it, but they managed to implement a fee structure for all of these applications. They're small, $15 for event applications and the catering applications and all the ones that Sharon just listed that there's no fee for. I don't know how they did it, but maybe just a motion, a resolution and announcing it to the general public. I don't know. But anyway, I think it's worth thinking about.
Yeah, make a policy for that.
it
Yeah.
may. We'll have to check, but
Yeah.
it does
Well,
seem
let's
like
get
we're
on
losing.
it.
Well, it takes personnel time, so, you know,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
something.
Right.
Because
know.
not everybody has a liquor and a tobacco license, so not everybody should be paying for it.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think
those are the two that I have. I didn't
So
even know
Sharon-
Emerald Rose had a tobacco license, but it makes sense, I guess. So,
Do
Yeah,
we
if
have
he's
to approve
selling.
these or do you just sign them, Sharon?
well, I'm letting you know, I'm the one that I don't sign them. I just push a button that says approve unless, you know, you
Oh.
guys have any conditions or anything on it like we did for South Mountain Tavern. Otherwise, it's just approve and then I get a
Well,
notification.
So for Emerald Rose Grows, I mean, there's obviously a lot of rules and regulations that they'll be following to enable that for their business. When does
Right.
that start?
Their tobacco license isn't for your typical tobacco.
No, but it's
So
covered.
that's
under
what
that,
I'm saying. I
obviously.
mean,
That's why
each
it's-
one might be a different reason and do we have to have concerns? That's why I'm saying, Bruce, do we have to have concerns?
Well, that's why I'm wondering why the state's pushing it back to the towns, so the towns know who's selling
Right,
cannabis.
cannabis, right.
And they gotta
So
get.
I stopped in and I've talked to Greg about what he has to do, what requirements the state is requiring for security purposes and whatnot. Everything that I've discussed with him, he seems to be following the appropriate guidelines, will have the appropriate security, so I don't have any concerns.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, unless somebody thinks of something else.
Okay.
The regs, you're saying the regs are secure enough that we don't have to put on any additional kind of
Right.
requirements.
Right,
Okay.
as far as how they, as far as the security of the building and where the stuff is stored and things like that, yes, there's some guidelines and we've reviewed it together. And what he's going to do is I don't see any issues with what he's doing now.
Okay, that's great. Excellent.
Bruce, does the cannabis dealers in these so-called towns that are selling, it just gotta be a certain age, 21, I guess, just like liquor.
Mhm.
Are they handling it through the liquor control board, like, you know, how they send younger teenagers in to try to buy alcohol? Are the liquor control board doing that too now or going to?
I'm
set up
sure that,
things?
yeah, whichever agency is responsible for overseeing it will do the same thing. They'll have unannounced visits or try
It's not
to,
on your watch.
yeah.
It's not on
no.
your watch, so to speak.
And we do get notifications of establishments that have obtained approval in town, but we're not allowed to give out their location. So these are the growers,
Right.
cultivators, whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. It's new territory for the town. It'll be interesting
We
to see how
we actually have two in town, three in town right now.
Mhm.
for selling or for growing.
Cultivators. Yeah, three
So that's
different
not-
locations.
Is cultivating including selling?
Oh,
No,
I don't believe so.
Okay. So Emerald Rose Grows would be the first seller, and I'm sure there'll be more.
Yeah, and it must be see, it says tobacco. I'm surprised it's not coming from the cannabis board, but maybe
Yeah.
they're working together with liquor control. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you for that. All right. Item 10, Select Board Roundtable. Let's start with Michelle.
The only thing I have, I saw some comments on Front Porch Forum about wanting that handicap spot back out in front of Holly Hall.
Yep.
So I didn't reply to them. I was gonna reply and decided I'd do it. I might still reply to them, but I just want to make people know that was not the town's decision. That was the state decision to get rid of that because it was a safety hazard, because it wasn't big enough or wide enough for a handicapped person to get out of the thing. So it will not be coming back.
It doesn't meet the rules.
Right.
And I think you're absolutely, I saw that, Michelle, I was gonna bring that up, is maybe that should come on Front Porch Forum from Valerie saying, you know, the board knows that and didn't agree with it being moved, but it wasn't regulation size and the state took it out.
Well, I think any one of us could do that. I mean, but I just didn't feel, I thought I'd bring it up here first.
Yeah.
And then
No, it's great.
somebody can post it on Front Porch Forum. But that was all I
Won't be.
Won't be many people.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was connected with the
Paving project.
paving project that came through a couple of years ago,
The
and
street
it was in violation when we had it before, even though it was useful, and then it's now no longer in violation since the state corrected that.
It was a streetlight project
Project,
that
right.
eliminated it.
Although there's no enforcement that I'm aware of if folks
Oh,
want to
correct.
park
You're right,
there and unload and reload, you know, drop off and pick up
Right.
folks. But
Right, but we don't want somebody handicapped parking there and then getting hit.
No.
right.
And you're right, Peter. It was the streetlight project. It wasn't the paving project that they redid what was there with the streetlight project. Right. Okay. Joel, anything from you?
I just had two, I mentioned, somebody mentioned to me about the roads and I gave them to Eric today. So.
Okay, great. Peter?
One thing popped up when we were talking about when you mentioned the garbage down at the solar field. Did we ever vote to allow them to have infrastructure in our barn?
Infrastructure in our barn?
In the old village shed, they have some electrical stuff in there and some monitoring stuff in there.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was part of the project.
It was.
I thought they were using just our access to the Wi-Fi or something like that.
Okay, well, I didn't.
I think that's what that was. It was a network connection, and I think it was in one of our buildings to be able to accommodate that.
Where I just knew that they were going to be connecting to our system.
Yeah, has it become an inconvenience, or you're
No, I just happened to see it, and I didn't recall us allowing anything inside, but that's why I'm asking.
It might have been something that was an exec or administrative decision.
Well, it's a select board concern. It's not it's end of the world.
Yes. Okay. I think it was part of the project, but we can definitely confirm that. They recently had a meeting with since I purchased panels there was a discrepancy with the original design and then changes in the design because of the slope, that it wasn't producing as much power. Unfortunately, it was losing about 10 or 12%. They're calculating, so they had to sort of rebalance their books, and it's been sorted out. But it's just one of those things that because of project changes, because of the topography of the land, panels had to be closer together. And they also did an update about the damage that was done. Initially, it was thought that there were baseballs going over and hitting the panels, but I think but they've in the meeting they said that they actually worked out that it wasn't baseballs. They think some people had thrown rocks over and were hitting the panels. Yeah. It hasn't happened since.
We saw the baseballs hit them. I can't tell you if they broke them, but we certainly saw baseball.
Oh, you did? Okay, so maybe it was a collection. I think they found rock shards or something near the panel, so I think they thought it was like vandalism versus random balls hitting. So hopefully that it hasn't continued, thank goodness. And I don't think the panels were affected, even though the glass was shattered. It didn't affect the output of the panels, which was nice. Those are going to be replaced, and hopefully that won't happen again. but yeah, I think it's been very successful, and I've definitely seen my electric bill be much less. Now that it's going into winter, it's going to go higher again, but it's been great to support that project. And Acorn has been fantastic about it. That organization that's running it, they've been very transparent. The meetings that they have with Zoom are very detailed, and they can answer any questions. So yeah, it's been great to have them here.
That's it.
Okay, thanks, Speaker. I only have one. The property owner who had the sidewalk redone in front of their house on Maple. I saw them today, and they were very, very appreciative of the work that was done. They said it was done very fast, and it's done really well. And even they met Joel. I think you went out there and spoke to the property owner and said made sure everything was okay, and they're extremely happy with it. It was the sidewalk that was too high.
We salted
At the
down.
driveway.
Yeah, the driveway.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yep. So they were very appreciative and thanked us immensely for that work that was done.
Along the same lines, we received a card today from the dentist's office, also thanking
Good.
the select board and the town for the sidewalk improvement in front of their place. It worked out very well, very big improvement. They're very appreciative, and they love Bristol.
Well, that's good. And it looks like the sidewalk is in by over by Basin Street, just on East Street. That looks good. That was all done. I talked to Eric about that, I think, last week. That looks good. So it's nice to have that drainage fixed and have the sidewalk redone in time for winter.
Temporarily fixed. But whatever.
Right, exactly. Nope, that's great. Item 11,
No.
Town Administrator's Report. Anything else to add, Val?
Well, I meant to add, when I was referring to my surgery, just to have folks be on the same page about what's going to happen. And because I've been pretty open about all of this, I guess I don't mind talking about it or letting folks know that what's going to happen is they're going to go into the back of my head, and there's a brain tumor back there, and they're going to debulk, shave off the brain tumor to make it smaller. There's a risk of removing it because it's very near a bunch of very important nerves that feed the face. They're going to find the vessel that is. They're going to try to relieve the pressure on the vessel that's irritating the trigeminal nerve that is making all the shooting pain into my face. And they're going to put a Teflon pad between the blood vessel and the trigeminal nerve to separate them and try to prevent any further irritation. It's an all-day operation, early morning till probably late in the afternoon. And some of the risks, when you're dealing with nerves around your face, there's crap that can happen. So I just want to prepare folks in case I come back with a lopsided face or whatever. It can affect my eye. There can be facial paralysis. There can be who knows what. But the objective is to reduce the size of the tumor and relieve the pain, hopefully permanently, because right now I'm very highly medicated, and I've reaching the top threshold of the medications that are controlling the stuff. So that's why it's happening. It's why it's urgent. And there we go. I think the recovery for the first week will be focused on recovery. I'll be in the hospital for the first 2 or 3 days, and then I'll see afterwards how much I can operate. They anticipate I wouldn't be able to drive probably for 6 weeks, but we know that I'm pretty handy with working from home, so I'll try to do that as much as I can.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Val.
Jimmy's got a question.
Wish you all the best.
Hey.
Jim.
I was just going to say, our thoughts and prayers will be with you, Val.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
If anyone can help you with anything, let us know, okay?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the support that I've had since last year when this really exploded. The tumor was diagnosed in 2019, but it's gotten complicated since then. So the idea is to get it under control and go back to living a normal life. So yes, so thank you for all your support. On a completely different subject that I could also use your support with. After the bond vote passed, I realized that there was an error in the publication process. The bond process requires publicizing the warning 3 weeks in a row prior to the vote, and that did not happen. And I was heartsick and gut punched when I realized that despite the overwhelming voter support of over 1,000 voters voted in favor of the bond, I dreaded the idea of having to go back to voters in March and ask them to do it again and explain why. So I waited a little. This was last week. I realized, this came to light last week. I talked to the bond attorney today, and all is not lost. Turns out there is a section in the state statute. It's Title 24, Section 1757, and it's very short, so I can just read it. It says, whenever the qualified voters of a municipal corporation as defined, blah, 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 have voted by the requisite majority to authorize issuance of bonds to pay for any public improvement, and such proceedings are defective because of failure to comply with any of the statutory requirements. Therefore, although the required length of notice and notice of purpose for such meetings has been had, such omissions may be cured by a resolution of the legislative branch by a vote of 2/3 of its members at a regular or special meeting called for that purpose, stating that the defect was the result of oversight, inadvertence, or mistake of law or fact. When such omission has been so supplied by such resolution, all bonds or other financing within the terms of the action of the qualified voters shall be as valid as if statutory requirements had been complied with. So the long and short is, at the next meeting, we will have a resolution on the agenda written by the bond attorney, allowing the select board to validate the bond vote, if you're willing to do that.
I'm glad you weren't gonna make one of us do that resolution.
No, so I feel extremely relieved. And I think or we do it again in March, but as long as this is a legal approach.
Too late.
So is it just, so we had to warn it 3 times and we warned it twice, is that correct?
We followed the statutory notice requirements for special town meetings.
Okay.
Which was 30 days prior, or whatever it is, 30 days prior to the
Yeah.
town meeting, something like
I
that.
see, but for a bond vote, it's different.
But it was only warned once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't we
Okay.
warn the hearings, both the hearings though? We had 2 hearings.
Yeah. Oh, those were warned within the notice of the special town meeting, but we also put the notices, posted them around town, front porch forum, social media. So.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. I think that the voters who voted for it, I'm sure would be fine with that as well. I feel that, with that good a turnout that we had for that particular thing, I think we have support from the town.
Might be a little nervous, but.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, I think that's fine.
all right, that's all I have.
All right.
That's
Thank you for your updates, Val. Yeah. All righty. So I believe we have executive session tonight. Is that correct?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, for contract negotiations.
Sharon, did you have a question? No? Okay.
I'm just waiting to see if you're going into executive session or not.
Gotcha.
What's our executive session? Is it for, what would it be on for, Val?
For personnel,
Okay,
to discuss some of the items you and I talked about this afternoon.
okay. All right,
I make a motion, we aren't inviting anybody, it's just us.
Correct.
Make a motion.
Unless
we
anybody
enter-
wants to bring something to the select board's attention.
Don't ask that.
Look at the screen light up.
It's not even 9 o'clock yet.
Yeah, well, you know what happens when you get into executive session. I make a motion, we enter executive session per 1 VSA section 313 to discuss personnel matters.
Second.
all right. All those in favor say aye, raise your hand. All right.
Uh,
All those against, nay.
she's in
Motion
here, I
carries.
thought.
We're in
Be
executive
quiet.
session.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Night.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Sharon.
And here I thought I was gonna get home by 9:30.
Well,
We
you
will.
still can,
Just be
you guys
sure.
don't do that.